Welcome to week 4 of Code Sprint C. So we are almost at the end of the semester here. Last 2 weeks, we are wrapping up the material this week on Electron, finishing up learning how to build desktop applications with our HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React knowledge, and then moving into final project territory. So there's a little bit less material this week than previous weeks, more time for you to focus on your final project this week, and then next week, same structure as we've had for the other sprints, is that there's almost no required material and it's all time to focus on your final project. So stick with me. We are at the end of the semester. I know folks are probably exhausted and ready for the break. We are almost there. So let me flip over to the canvas here. Okay, so week 4, always start at that overview page, which has the video that you're watching and then links to the material for this week. So there is an Electron and React practice assignment, a participation assignment where you're sharing your final project progress, and then a milestone for your final project. So the Electron and React, this is the only sort of required new material for this week. It's pretty straightforward. It's not a ton of coding. It's a lot more on learning how to set up build processes using Electron so that we can get a React application up and loading. And there's also an extra credit that is open until the end of the semester that shows you how to take that one step further and bring our movie rating application into Electron. There is a final project progress milestone for this week. So like last week where you had to make some progress, you have to make some progress again this week. So you're going to be checking out your final project requirements. We'll look at that page in a second. You'll be spending at least 3 hours working on your app. I have some suggested tasks below. You're going to commit and sync your work to GitHub, and then continue adding, moving, updating your cards and your Kanban board, and making a public deploy of your application in some form that is interactable to Vercel. So you want to get to a place where something is working to be able to deploy it to Vercel. So continue progress, read through this, but at this point, it's recommended that you have your custom hooks login page, refactored data structure, and your updated security rules, which would then leave next week open for you to focus on your new feature. But I'm leaving this open-ended, so your application may be slightly different. So you can focus on some other aspect if you want for your work for this week. I totally recommend you front-loading your work for this project and doing it earlier rather than later, because that gives you an opportunity to meet with me next week to get any questions addressed, or just finish up and submit and be done early for the semester. So you'll be submitting all these things. Read through that as you're going through and submitting. Let's take a look at that final project page. So I published the week 5 module. The rest of the materials will be live in there next week, but the final project submission page is live now, which has a description of the final project that you've been working on. And so this is due on the 20th, so the Sunday of the last week of class. And that submission is open until the 21st, but then it closes because I need to grade all of these and submit final grades almost immediately after that. So there's no room for late projects other than that 1 day of buffer here. Okay, so you've got your brainstorm, you've already done that. You did your first progress milestone. This week, in week 4, you'll be working on that second progress milestone. And then this is your final submission, worth the bulk of the points for your final project. Got a section on the scope for your features, which we've talked about before in the brainstorming page, and then the list of requirements. So a lot of these are the same from Code Sprint B, with some new ones here. So up at the top, I put the new ones. So required features. These are the things that we covered in class that you're going to be bringing over with your login system and your new data structure and your security roles. Then a section on your additional features. So did you pick a reasonable scope? Is it implemented well? Does it show me that you learned something beyond the basic material we covered in class? And then a lot of familiar stuff that you've seen before, like the general no compile, runtime errors, no linting warnings, setup on GitHub, code conventions, a README. So just go through these as you're submitting. Make sure you tick all of these requirements off before you actually submit. And then there's some updates to the submit here, and we'll talk about this again next week, but you're going to be submitting a screenshot to me of your security roles and a screenshot of an example of your user data, along with the normal stuff that you've been submitting. So spend time going through all of that before you start working on your final project this week to sort of make your mental checklist of all the things that you need to do for your final project. And one last thing here is I have office hours regularly on Wednesdays and Fridays, which you can find under the virtual office hours page here. I recommend taking advantage of that, sending me questions in Teams, pinging me if you can't meet during those normal virtual hours to meet some other time during the week so that you can get help on your final project earlier rather than later. The more work you kind of do in this week, the more help you'll be able to get in week 5 before the final submission is due. And let's see. Oh, one last thing that I'll point out is that there's an extra credit module down here that has that Electron movie rating app assignment, which is also under the week 4 module. I'll probably add maybe like one more video down here as extra credit. So keep an eye out for that if you're looking to get extra credit. Other than that, that's it for this week. So good luck on the Electron assignment and working on your final project. Reach out if you need help, and I will see you next week.